Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? Edgeman Synergy coming to you guys today with another deck. So, today we are taking a look at Naya Aggro Pod. So, this is more so a aggro deck than it is a Birthing Pod deck in the way it kind of works. But if you get Birthing Pod out here, it's going to accelerate things along and make things much more fun to play. But if you guys have any suggestions for decks that you would like to see covered, please leave it in the comments below and I'll take it into consideration when making future decks for you guys to watch. So, we're going to break this down into the land base, kind of the creature base, ascending, and then all the non-creature stuff. But for the most part, the deck is very straightforward because it's a aggro-based build. There's minimal thinking when it comes to it. Whenever you get Birthing Pod out there, there's certain cards that you want to get just to resolve situations, but for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward deck. There's not a huge amount of thinking going on. But first, we're taking a look at the land base. So we have Cavern of Souls. So this is going to be a playset. Lets us mana fix for certain cards, certain creatures, depending on what we need to get out there onto the battlefield. One of the big types in the deck are humans. That's the majority of creatures in here. So if we're trying to get a human out there, chances are we're going to be able to reuse Cavern more times. But depending on the situation, Cavern can let you just mana fix for creatures. We also have Copperline Gorge. So there's going to be a playset. And just to add something to the Cavern, it also makes your stuff uncounterable, which isn't as relevant because people don't play Mana Leak, and it's not going to be in standard post M13. But that's just one of those benefits as well. We also have a playset of Razorverge Thicket, so giving us green and white. The deck operates off of a pretty minimal amount of lands. And there's some ramping in there, a little bit of mana fixing as well. So it's nice that we have both of the sets of Scar's lands for this color scheme for Naya, and can effectively use it in this build. We also have Gavony Township, so this is going to be a 2-of. And if we have some more mana at our disposal, we are able to put +1/+1 counters on all of our creatures, which is awesome. Buffs up all of our stuff and makes it a lot harder to deal with. We have one Kessig Wolf Run because whenever you're playing red-green, you just want to, in most situations, you want to just have this as at least a 1-of just because it's a really awesome card. Just like Gavony Township, if you have the extra mana open and you can't play creatures or something like that, being able to buff up one creature and just give it trample and however much mana you put into it, just make it a big bulky dude, that's going to be really awesome in being able to overextend and get your opponent down to 0 as quick as possible. The trample always makes it nice as well in being able to assign so much damage and so much damage to your opponent. Then we have the basic lands, so we're running 5 forests, so 3 and another 2. 2 plains. And I wanted to go shiny with this deck, and 2 mountains. So pretty straightforward. 24 lands for the mana base. Not too greedy, I don't want to say. 24 is just around where we should be running for this deck. Now we're taking a look at the creatures and the non-creature stuff, and the creatures are ascending in mana cost. So, first off, we have Birds of Paradise, so this is a playset, lets us mana fix, and also accelerate. Accelerating is always awesome in aggro-based decks. Just lets us play stuff quicker. We also have Avacyn's Pilgrim, so another way to accelerate / mana fix. So this is going to be a 3-of in the deck. So, we have 7 1-drops, which isn't bad for the deck. For 2-drops, we only have Strangleroot Geist, but he's definitely really worth it. Double green, 2/1, haste, undying. Really awesome for just aggro, and at the same time really awesome because he has undying and makes him a really great target for Birthing Pod because he gets to come back. So that's one of those benefits, and you get to take and look through for your 3-drops. Next we have Fiend Hunter, so he's just a 1-of in the deck, so 3-drop, 1/3. Enters the battlefield, you get to exile another target creature. Whenever he leaves, that creature comes back. But the great thing about Fiend Hunter is whenever he enters the battlefield and his first ability is put onto the stack, if you respond to that with something like Restoration Angel, which we do run in the deck, and it actually happens a decent bit of times where I'll respond with Restoration Angel, but that creature is going to remain exiled, the first one that you choose with Fiend Hunter, and then when he comes back in, you get to exile another target creature, and that one's going to be exiled under Fiend Hunter, and then whenever he leaves, it comes back. But it's nice that his second ability isn't going to come into effect if you respond to the first one with Restoration Angel. Some of you more advanced players will understand what I mean. But one Fiend Hunter, as I digress. For other 3-drops, we have 2 Blade Splicers, so lets us get a 3/3 onto the battlefield, and it gets first strike as long as Blade Splicer's around, which is always awesome. We have Borderland Ranger, so this one's going to let us search for some basic lands of our choice, and it's going to be awesome because if we're stuck on a certain color that we need double of or something like that, Borderland Ranger is going to let us search for that basic land and get it onto the field next turn, hopefully. But it also lets you thin out your deck from basic lands, so that's another plus side to it. For 4-drops, we have Phyrexian Metamorph, so lets us copy up target creature or artifact. It's nice because we don't run swords in the deck, but if somebody else is running a swords, if your opponent's playing one, you get to copy that. Also, you get to copy up legendary creatures, get rid of them, so it's kind of a removal on a stick. And also, you can copy up stuff like your Huntmaster of the Fells if it's flipped. So it's Ravager of the Fells. If you copy that up, it's not going to flip back because it doesn't have another side. Or your opponent's stuff. There's just multiple purposes to Phyrexian Metamorph. Hero of Bladehold is also a 1-of 3/4 4-drop battle cry. Whenever it attacks, you put 2 1/1 soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. So another awesome way to buff up your stuff with that battle cry and get more tokens. We have Huntmaster of the Fells that we talked about earlier. So this is going to be a 3-of in the deck. So 2/2 for 4 mana, enters the battlefield, you gain some life, and you get a 2/2 green wolf creature token. And then he flips into a 4/4, and you get to deal 2 damage to target creature and to an opponent. So that's always awesome with Huntmaster. And like I said, with the Metamorph, if you're able to copy his other side, you're just going to have a 4/4, which is always awesome. So that's one thing to keep out for. We have Restoration Angel. So this is going to be a playset. Really awesome card. When it has Flash, Flying, 3/4 for 4. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you get to exile target creature you control and then put it back into play. So it kind of works out with different stuff like Huntmaster because it has a ETB ability. Blade Splicer as well is also a good target. Fiend Hunter, like I said, responding to its first ability. Strangleroot Geist to get back to Undying. There's different stuff that you can do with it, but Restoration Angel is an awesome card to have in the deck. Another possible target for Restoration Angel is Geist-Honored Monk. Really awesome card as well. Gets you 2 flying 1/1 tokens onto the battlefield, and its power and toughness are equal to the amount of creatures you control. And it also has Vigilance, which is really awesome. So it gets to attack, and it's not going to be tapped each turn. We have Sigarda, Host of Herons. So 5/5 for 5, flying, hexproof, spells and abilities your opponent's control can't cause you to sacrifice permanents, which is awesome. So it kind of works against Liliana of the Veil. Gethspiritic, Tribute to Hunger, stuff like that. But the best thing about this is it's flying, hexproof, and it's a 5/5. It's just a big bulky creature, and that's why I like it as a 5-drop. Zealous Conscripts, another singleton in the deck. 3/3 for 5 haste, enters the battlefield, you gain control of target permanent until the end of the turn. Untap that permanent, it gains haste. So it's a nice way to take your opponent's planeswalkers, creatures, anything that they may have that could be a threat to you, you get to use it for a turn. So Zealous Conscripts is definitely awesome. Acidic Slime, so another awesome 5-drop Death Touch, enters the battlefield, and you can destroy target artifact, enchantment, or land. The great thing about this is just the fact that you get to destroy so many different things. The best is doing it again, destroying lands against a deck like Delver or something that has a very low and greedy mana base where they're just functioning off of what they need and they're not going to have much of a surplus. So it helps against that. Also helps against like artifacts and enchantments, like it says. But when the situation presents itself, it has multiple uses, and it has Death Touch, so it makes it a good blocker. Vorapede, Vigilance, Trample, Undying, 5/4 for 5, another good target for Birthing Pod Birthing Pod into, should I say. It's going to stick around for a while because it has the Undying, and Vigilance and Trample is always awesome in a big bulky creature, so we end off at 5 drops. But it's mainly an aggro deck, so you want to get there, but if your Birthing Pod doesn't work, you can still get to all your creatures very easily. And now we're getting into the non-creature spells. So we have 1 Bonfire of the Damned, and we side in more if we need to. Just because you don't know if you're going to be playing an aggro matchup or something like that. And if the deck you're playing against is worth running more Bonfires, you side them in. If not, you can side this one out for other possible cards. But Bonfire is definitely good against aggro matchups, also against control decks that like to use Lingering Souls and stuff like that, make tokens and blockers. Multiple uses, really awesome card if you can get the Miracle, and you just don't want to overflood with this card. Just because if you get this in your opening hand and don't really want to mulligan the rest of it away, it could be kind of redundant for you. But getting the Miracle off on Bonfire is just way too sweet. Birthing Pod, this is going to be a 3 of, so basically one of the better cards in the deck just because it lets you just connect into other higher cost cards. And it's just an awesome card, just really awesome, being able to kind of accelerate yourself along while your opponent's still trying to race with you. So 3 Birthing Pods, and we're going to put those up here. And the last card of the deck is going to be Gideon Jura, and this is going to be a 2 of. So with Gideon Jura, he's going to be a 5-cost Planeswalker. He can make your opponent's creatures attack you and redirect the damage. He can also destroy stuff with his -2, and with his 0 cost, he can turn himself into a 6/6, making him a really awesome attacker, and he doesn't take damage. So, yeah, that's about it for the deck. So those are all the cards. If you guys didn't catch any of the amounts, quantities, whatever you want to say, the entire deck list is going to be in the description below, so you guys can see everything that I'm running. Also, some sideboard suggestions are going to be down below as well for certain stuff to side in and for what types of matchups, not necessarily specific decks. But you guys can figure it out yourself. You're running the deck, you can kind of put things together and see what works for you depending on what decks you play against. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like, favorite, and subscribe to the channel for more daily Magic the Gathering content, decks, pack openings, box openings, stuff like that. There's always going to be some content every week, so it's definitely worth checking out and checking back into the channel. But yeah, that's about it. So thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a wonderful, fun-filled Magic the Gathering day, guys.